y'all hear me? Can you hear me? How's everybody doing tonight? Hey, Nicole. Hey, Dana. Hey, I don't know if this is two bangers. What's up, Teal? What's up, everybody? I didn't even think about that. Is it gonna be too much to move that over a little bit or no? This camera only because I feel like that one is blocking the comments. Yeah, both of them. Like if they both can slightly move to the right or move the TV. You can just move the TV. What's up, y'all? Just give me 1 second. Yeah, a little bit slightly over this way. Yeah, in between the two. That would be great. Okay, tonight, y'all. Can it go just slightly a little bit more? Tonight, yep, and then tilts a little bit like towards, yep, yep. Amazing, amazing. What's up? Hello from Canada. What's up, Essence? Aw, nice to see you, Lady T. Marquetta. Who else is on here tonight? Can I zoom in? I got all these requests for tonight. I'm like, can I zoom in? If it can, it's all good. All right, tonight. What's up, Martin? We are going to talk about something I posted earlier today, and I said to the effect of essentially criticism is going to come. People will not support you, and it's always the people that we think are that should be the most likely to support us are the ones who don't support us, and it really hurts our feelings. And not only does it hurt our feelings, it also can hinder us because we're waiting on the support. We're waiting on everybody to approve. And so I wanted to talk about it because I've been an entrepreneur pretty much all of my adult life, and being an entrepreneur, being somebody who is a dreamer and not just a dreamer but a doer, being somebody who is a risk taker, you're gonna find yourself surrounded by people who are not. You're gonna find yourself surrounded by people who are living in mediocrity, people who are living in safety, people who just they may not even necessarily believe. And so here it is, we're looking for approval or we're looking for permission from people who have not even given themselves permission. And so anytime we have the slightest bit of somebody just making us feel that we're not supported or making us feel that they're criticizing us or critiquing us to a degree that it makes us stop, like that's a problem. And the reason why I want to talk about this is because we have to really understand that anything that God causes us to do, I just feel like there's so many places I want to go with this. Any and everything that God causes us to do is going to require faith. And because it's going to require faith, it is going to require us to be like laser focused, right? And when we allow ourselves to be distracted by lack of support or people saying things, because that's the enemy anyway. That is his nature. He really wants to stop us from doing all that God has called us to do and becoming all of who God has created us to be. And so those things, they're going to naturally come, but we have to understand that is not in God's plan. And so, when we put so much emphasis on, I need support. Why do we feel like we need that support from the people that we think we need them from? Many times it's going to come from the people who you would least likely expect. And it's crazy because somebody had posted under my comment something to the extent of they'll follow, but they won't necessarily engage. They'll look, but they're not going to like. So here it is, you just decided to step out and become who God has called you to be. You're showing up in this new identity. You're believing in yourself. And then here it is, you think that, the people who are around you, like, why are they not liking this? Why are they not commenting? Why are they, you know what I'm saying? Why are they not, I don't know, not even necessarily promoting? And we have to stop looking for that. Is there one like going to change your life? The thing is, it maybe it's not for them. Maybe it's not for them to buy into or to support or whatever. But the reality is, as you begin to walk by faith, you're going to create such a momentum that it's going to attract what you lack. Because momentum is a magnet. So as you say, you know what, God, I heard what you said. I believe it. I'm convicted. I know it. then nothing that is not necessarily, I guess, that we think that we need, like, it cannot stop us. And so when we think that we need the support, we wait for it. And I'm just here to tell you, if you're waiting for a certain person or I don't even know, a certain organization to find you and tell you who you are and tell you that I believe in you, it's probably not going to happen. You know, let me just share a story. So I had a transition in my life about 3-4 years ago where I had transitioned out of being a salon owner and being in the hair world. And during that time, I didn't realize how much my identity was tied to this title, right? And so when now I'm no longer a stylist and, you know, I'm transitioning, I'm trying to find, you know, what's this next season and chapter of my life, I didn't realize that I was actually looking for people to see me because I knew what was next. God had already told me what was next, but I was hoping that somebody seen the next on and in me. So I started going, I actually became a part of like a mastermind of people who are known or whatever, right? And I was just hoping there was a silent part of me, and this is hard for me to even like come to, you know what I'm saying, like to even share, because it's like, dang, I didn't even realize that this is exactly what I was doing, even though I didn't understand it at the time. I was looking for somebody to recognize me. I was looking for somebody to see the greatness in me and help me to extract it, but they couldn't see it until I was able to see it. And so we have to come to a place of knowing and a place of conviction to where it does not matter who supports and who doesn't. They'll catch up later. If they're not supporting now, maybe they'll never support, but maybe they will later. Maybe after you after you gain a certain amount of success, they be like, dang, girl, you doing your thing. Well, why didn't you say that when I first got started? And so I just really, you know, let me just say this. My heart, and I believe that my call is to people who know that there's more. You know that there's more. You know to some degree that you've been stuck. You know that you to some degree maybe even been settling, and you're just like this. Not in 2023. I'm going somewhere. I'm going to do something different. And when you make a declaration to do something different, it makes it very uncomfortable for people who have not decided to be something different in their own lives. So you're going to ruffle feathers. You're going to ruffle feathers. What's up, Adia? I think, hopefully that's how you say your name. Lachelle. Permission. So we're like overly reliant on somebody's approval. Like when I think about when we were kids and we had to raise our hand to go to the bathroom, at least in my school, we had to ask for permission. We had to ask for permission to get up and go to the bathroom. Well, somehow or another in our lives, we're still waiting for permission. What do you think about this business idea? Or what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And if they don't completely agree, then we can't even move forward. And it's like, well, what did God say? If God gave you a word, why are you looking for somebody to co-sign it? If God gave you a word, why are you looking for a cosign? The reality is God has not shown everybody what he has shown you. What he has revealed in you is for you. He hasn't shown everybody. I see this meme. It said it wasn't a conference call when God gave you the blueprint for your life. Not everybody was involved, not even your mama or your father. But God will give people eyes to see who it is that you are to help you along the way. Yes. And so going back to my story, I was in this group and I was really trying to figure out, okay, you know, how God, all the things that you showed me and all the things that you told me is going to happen. Okay, well, maybe I'm going to do it in my own effort by getting around somebody that can also see it. And I didn't realize that, you know, after I was in that group for a while and then the pandemic hit and then, you know, God allowed time for everybody to become still with themselves. And in that stillness, it was when God started to really deal with me and help me to see who I was so clear that I became so keenly aware of who I was. Not who I was, but who I am and who I will be. See, what you need is a keen awareness of your identity. When you become so aware of who you are, it'll birth such a conviction that it does not matter if people don't support you. Because you understand that this identity that God has given you, this gift that he's given you, this dream that you have, you understand that it's so vital to this world. This is not just this is a business idea to make some money. No, this is to bless somebody. This may break change off of somebody's life. And this is the level of conviction that you must have in order to move forward. Conviction to the point where, I got to a place where I realized that I was believing. I believed God. I was like, okay, God, I believe you now. There was a point where I didn't believe. And so there's a phase and there's a process to getting to where God had the fulfillment of the promise. There's process that you have to go through. And so for me, I had to first believe, because it was just like, God, I don't know what you're talking about. And then I did work, and I continued to do work, and I continued to renew my mind, and I started to really believe. And I remember having a conversation where I was like, God, I believe now. I believe. Why is it not happening when I do believe? I'm waiting for something to happen. Let's go. And I realized that belief almost wasn't enough, because I believed, but I still didn't have the boldness. To some degree, my mind had changed, but my behavior was still wasn't solid. It still wasn't sure. And what you need is a surety. And so God was like, okay, there's something that you don't really understand. When I give you a word, that word is so solid that nothing can stop it. But you have to know that. You have to know that I'm backing you. You have to be convicted and stop trying to be at this place of that you need convincing. So you look to your friend, or you look to your cousin, or you look to, and you're still trying to get them to, girl, you got it. How many times you need to hear somebody tell you, girl, you got it? So this is where you have to take it upon yourself to say, you know what, I'm not fully convicted about who I am just yet. I don't quite believe all that he's shown me. And if you don't, it's okay. It's just getting aware of where you're at right now. Becoming aware of where you're at. And when you become aware, then it's like, okay, now I know where I'm starting from. I already know what I need to do. What's the blueprint? And so I began to work on being convicted. And that convicting came from me knowing. Boldness comes from, I didn't even bring my Bible, and I know the Lord told me to bring my Bible. Can you bring my phone, please? Boldness comes from knowing. Go to Joshua 1. See, because until you know, you're still going to be waiting on somebody to support you. You're still going to be hurt when they don't support you. They can't see it. They can't see it. Do you know how many of close family members, they just couldn't see it until I opened my first salon, until I opened my second salon. I was looking for them to help me during the building stages, and they couldn't. How you going to build something that you don't have a blueprint for? How you going to build something that you don't even have vision for? They can't help you. You have to begin to just start doing the work and say, God, I believe, and start building on your own. And as you build, then maybe they'll start believing. And even if they don't start believing until you walk in the door, okay, once the building is complete, you have to begin to move in that way. Joshua 1:8. I'm over here talking about Joshua 1:8, and I'm trying to find it. Is this, what order is this in? Why I feel like it's, they done took Joshua out. There we go, Joshua. I'm just scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. We're talking about boldness. We're talking about conviction. We're talking about why do we need the support? And so there's a boldness that you have to have. And where does boldness come from? How do you get the boldness? God, how do I get the boldness? What Okay, so I'm using boldness and courage kind of interchangeably. But he says, I'm in a different version, but be strong, confident. Be strong and confident and of good courage. For you shall cause this people to inherit the land I swore to their fathers. So he tells them in 6 to be strong. And then you go on to the 7th verse, and it says, only be strong and very courageous. Now, he's repeating himself. I got to tell you a couple times. Be strong and very courageous, that you may do according to all the law which Moses, my servant, commanded you. Turn not from it from the right or to the left. Take the word, hold on to the word, and be strong in that. And then he goes to, if you skip to 9, it says, have I not commanded you? Be strong, be vigorous, and be very courageous. Be not afraid, neither be dismayed, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Your boldness comes from the fact that you know that he's with you. Your boldness comes from the fact that you know he gave you a word. Some of us are not really sure because we don't know if we actually heard God. If it's just a good idea and we're just going about it based on our own efforts, then maybe we're not going to be bold because we don't know that we have the backing. Boldness comes from knowing God is with you. And if he gave you a word, that's all you need. You don't need their support. You don't need their like. You don't, no. You need to be obedient. You need to be sure. He says, all these things will be added unto you if you seek me first. Just seek me, okay? What is that? Matthew 6. Seek me first, and all things will be added. And so we're seeking people. Well, girl, what you think? No. It's good to have wise counsel, yes. But the word is wise counsel. Everybody around you is not wise. Everybody around you has not built a business. Everybody around you does not have a dream that they've acted on. You need wise counsel. But ultimately, God's word trumps everything. Come on, God. What is the title of a person who writes a book? What's the title of a person who writes a book? I'm gonna look for an answer. 6:33. Thank you, Sharia. What's the title of a person who writes a book? I just need one of them. I'm gonna take a sip until I get it. An author. Come on, Queen Esther. An author. So this ain't my book, but y'all stay with me for the sake of an example. So I author this book. I write every word. Say this is my autobiography, and I'm telling y'all the story of my life. I author it. Who can come and be the authority over what I wrote? Nobody. Can't nobody tell me that what I wrote about my life as the author, that is untrue, that is not right. And so God is the author of your life. Therefore, he is the authority of your life. And if he speaks a word, that word trumps every other word. And every other word that is not in alignment, you have to eject it out of your mind. So now we're slowing up. We're stopping because people are coming against what God said about us in the comment section, in the DM, and in whispering. And so now that word gets into our heart, it gets into our mind, it gets into our psyche, and now we start slowing down on what God said. Oh, gosh. So you have to ask yourself, like, are we just living life haphazardly? Or are we living according to the book that's already been written? And you didn't write it, only God wrote it. And if that's the case, then he's the author. And if he's the author, he's the total authority. The total authority. So the boldness comes from knowing. The thing is, we have to get to a place where we know God, where we know his character. If there's no homework tonight other than getting at least 5 scriptures on the fact that God can't lie. If you go to St. John, 1 John 5 and 14, 5 and 14, it says, this is the remarkable degree of confidence which we have as believers, that if we ask anything according to his will, that he hears us. The confidence that you need. Hold on. I'm trying to get it so I could. 1 John 5 and 14. If you don't get anything, get an understanding he can't lie. So when you hear him, you can stand on that word and you're not looking for other people. And this ain't even the version I want. Ooh, come on though. But it's saying a word that I'm talking about. And this is the confidence, the assurance, the privilege of boldness. I've never read it in this version. The privilege of boldness, which we have in him, that we are sure of. So what we're talking about is being sure. We're looking for support because we ain't really sure. But when we have his word, I'm going to start from the top because this thing heavy. And this is the confidence, the assurance, the privilege of boldness, which we have in him, that we are sure of, that if we ask anything, make any request according to his will, in agreement with his plan, he listens to and hears us. He hears you. And since we positively know that he listens to us in whatever we ask, we also know with settled and absolute knowledge that we have granted to us our present possessions and the requests we've made of him. This ain't even the version, but it's all good because that was a good one for me. It had boldness in there, assurance, confidence. You need the confidence. You need the conviction. And so some of us, we got the word, but we got to grow up into that word. Y'all ever see kids that be running around wearing shoes? They go put their mama shoes on, their daddy shoes on. They have to grow into that. So sometimes God gives us a word, but it's not necessarily for us to run to that right now. It's just saying, this is some wisdom that God gave me. When we get a word, we don't have to be so anxious in that word that we try to go fulfill it on our own. Because maybe we're not necessarily ready. Maybe he's just planting a seed. Maybe he's just preparing you so when it does happen, you know it was him. When it does happen, it's like, God, you told me. I get happy when God tells me because I know when God tells me it is. I know when he tells me that, like, there's nothing that's going to stop that fulfillment from coming into my life but myself. Nothing. So as long as I agree, it's as good as gold. So sometimes we try to jump into the shoes that we're not necessarily ready to fulfill. And so if God tells you a word, it may just not be the season for it to be fulfilled, but the prayer that you need to have, the wisdom you need to have in that is say, God, thank you for the word. I may not completely understand it right now. I may not even completely believe it right now, but I pray that you prepare me. Preparation. God, just prepare me because your word is bond. It's good. You are the king, so when you speak, it's law. When kings speak, like you can't even almost, I don't even know where that's at, but it was like when it was somewhere like in some King Herod, I believe it's King Herod, and the young lady, I don't even want to make up this story, but the young lady, she asked for John's head to be beheaded, and because he had already gave a word that whatever she asked for in this this season or this situation, it was going to be so, but it grieved him that he had to make good on that word, but he had already said the word. How much more is your Father, the King of Kings? When he says it, it is so. And so you get excited and you ask him to prepare you. It's already a done deal. I'm going to go read that scripture, y'all, because I probably just butchered it. But y'all know what I'm talking about. Prepare me. I don't need to be anxious about it. I don't need to be running around trying to make it happen. Oh God, you said I'm gonna do this. Okay, let me go make it happen. You know what that is? That kind of is a little pride. That kind of is, no, humble yourself and wait for the next instruction. Okay, God, what do I do with that word right now in this season? Because some of y'all go run off and tell people who can't even carry, who don't even have the capacity to hold the word for you, so they destroy it in seed form. See, because you wasn't waiting. Maybe he just wanted you to keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. The other part of it is this. The reason why I think it's so vitally important that you take inventory of the people in your life, because the people in your life should be people who are living a faith-filled life. They're moving towards the things that God has shown them as well. And so they can help encourage you along your path. But when we're not around people who are faith-filled and we're not surrounding ourselves around people who have vision for their own lives and are committed to their own growth and development, we find ourselves, I don't know. I'm looking for the right word, but we find ourselves not necessarily being able to fully walk in it because there's a level of uncomfortableness with other people. I wrote something in my book, and let me just find what I wrote. That's what it is. People fear being left behind. So if you're not moving with people who are already moving forward, when God gives you a word and you start moving on it, it's uncomfortable for people who don't necessarily have that vision for their life. They're kind of cool in mediocrity. They're kind of cool where they're at right there. And so this is why you're going to really have to pray for vision and ask God, okay, in this season of my life, what is it that you're calling me to? Is everybody in my life supposed to be in my life to this level? So support. I'm trying to stay on the same topic because y'all know I'll be getting. If we're not aligned now, it's not the time. Come on, Nicole. Just go off a prayer call with my anointed tribe. Amen. Alignment. The other part of it is this. As you start moving forward and you start to make traction, the enemy he gonna be coming for you. And I'm laughing because I'm dealing with it I deal with it myself, right? And so what happens is what it tries to do is to make you question your call. Make you question if what it is that you're doing. Did God really call? Did he really call you to that? Did he really say you can't eat the apple? You mean, look how good the apple look. You sure? This is why journaling is so important. This is why you start building history with God so you can go back to the moment that he gave you the word. Because sometimes you can lose sight of it. You can lose grip of it. And so if you documented it, you can go back to that documentation and get empowered again. And so criticism is going to come. People feeling like you're not qualified. They're going to have something to say. And so during this season of your process of you getting to the seed, from the seed form to the fulfillment of that thing, God needs to strengthen you so when you get into the fulfillment of that thing, you're not shaken by what people have to say. Don't be afraid of men in their faces. Don't be afraid. Yeah, write it down and make it real. Writing things down brings accountability to it. It brings it into the real world. No, it's not in the 3D form. You brought it into the 2D form. You brought it out of the first dimension into to real life. Now you can bring accountability to it, and that's for anything. That's for things that God has given you that you need to dream about, and things that He's giving you that you need to deal with from the inside. Things that He's still working out. When you write it out, you can work it out. Ben, you funny. When you write it out, you can work it out. What do you journal about? The more you become more in tune, the more you can become more settled, and you can start understanding like I remember when I used to journal, I used to write like, oh, I did 5 clients today. Oh, I saw such and such. Oh, I did such and such. And I realized like when I would go back to those journals and read, I was like, that didn't really tell me anything about like what was going on in my heart, what was going on in my mind, what was going on in my emotions in that time. And I started to learn how to journal from that place of what am I processing? What am I learning? What is God showing me? And so now when I go back to my journals, I can actually see where I was at, and I can see the growth. But I was journaling so superficially because I didn't even know how to look deep. I didn't even know how to tap into my emotions. I wasn't even aware. I was numb. So when you say, how do you journal? I feel like you journal the things that are pertinent to what's going on in your life. And a lot of times when I journal, it's a written prayer. It's me just talking to God in words on paper. How do you move forward? Because I'm stuck writing the same things over and over. I need wisdom on that one, Father. How do you move forward because you're stuck writing things over and over? That sounds like you could potentially just be in a cycle. And you may need to pray and ask God for what it's going to take for you to break whatever that cycle is. Because what I do find is that a lot of people who are in the same place is because they keep saying the same thing, and they're saying the same thing from a place of hurt. They're repeating the same story over and over and over, and that repetition brings about a future that is the same. If you keep living if you keep living today like yesterday, your tomorrow will forever be the same. If nothing changes in your life, if nothing changes with the words that are coming out of your mouth, the hopes and dreams that you have for yourself, the people that are around you, even the way that God done called me to a whole nother place in prayer. Oh, the way that you were communing with me is not going to work in this season for where I'm taking you. There's a new commitment for where I am in my own prayer time and my sanctuary because of what He's doing in my heart and in my mind and in my life. So something has to change. So if you keep living today like yesterday, tomorrow's going to be repeatable. It's going to be predictable. It's going to be the same. So what is it that you would like to see? I don't know what your name is. I missed it. But what is it that you would like to see in your life? What is it that God is showing you? What is He telling you? Start writing from a place of dreaming, right? Start writing from a place of, God had given me a vision, not even a vision. He impressed upon me a word about my house. And at that time, I had no hopes of going anywhere. I was loving where I was living. And He said, you're not going to be living here too much longer. And I remember thinking to myself, like, what? Like, I love where I lived at the time. But I knew it was God because it was not even my own thought. So I journaled it. I prayed on it. And then I kind of just, moved on. But from that journaling, it helped me to see the pathway. And I wanted to be a good steward over my destiny. And that's why you have to document. But in that documentation, God just began to I don't know, He just pretty much showed up just because I captured that word. I captured that word. I was going somewhere and I lost my train. On that midnight train to Georgia. To set up a session with you, what will we discuss? To set up a session, it really just is based on what it is that Listen, let me just say this. My coaching is not for everybody. I understand that God has called me to people who they know that there's more, and he helps me to help them to work through that more. Whatever dream he's given them, whatever purpose that he's already shown them, or any of that. And so it's like, okay, we got work to do. So when we get on a call, I mean, if you just want to talk about anything, I may not be your person because God has commissioned me to charge people into their destiny. So whatever that call is going to be based on is, what has God shown you? What is it that you see? Where are you at right now? And what are these blocks? Let's work through these blocks so we can get to that next place. Because a lot of times it's just in the mind. What is it that we've told ourselves? One of the biggest blocks that I had before I got into this place, into this space of speaking, was I kept telling myself I have nothing to say. I believed it. I believed I didn't have an opinion. I believed I didn't have a voice, which is crazy because I have a vision board that I did over 10 years ago, and I don't know what compelled me to put this on the vision board, but I got something from a magazine that said, find your voice, and I gravitated to it, and I didn't even know I didn't have my voice. I didn't know I had lost my voice. But in that, it was very telling, and I realized that I kept saying, I don't have anything to say, I don't have anything, and God checked me on that. He was like, no, I have something to say for you, through you. I have something to say. I will put my words in your mouth, and all that I command you, you will speak. And so I had to renew my mind on what the actual truth was. Here's why I was drawn to you in the first place. It was the anointing. Oh, amen, Jessica. Push. Come on now, Push. That's so crazy. Yeah, I have a women's group called Push. But if you're looking to set up a session with me, you can click the link in my bio, and you can set up a session. So I'll take a few more questions, but I just really want you all to understand that everybody is not going to support you, and you almost can't even be mad at them, because if you begin to take your energy and you start focusing it on those who hating or jealous or not supporting you, you're not going to be able to move forward in the things that God has called you to do. One thing I do not do, I know that there's some people who may not like me. I know that there's some people who are not supporting me, but I don't focus on that. I don't be like I almost didn't even want to do a topic on this because I don't want to put the focus on them. It's not about them. I need you to focus on you. I need you to focus on the word that God gave you, focus on him, and move forward. I need a session with you for sure. God keeps showing me so much, including helping tons of people. But I'm an introvert, and I've always stayed behind the scenes. Well, it's time to come forth, girl. Lady T. Well, we don't understand, and this is something that I really pray that God gives everybody on this call or this live revelation on, is that the world needs leaders, integral leaders, people who have God's heart. The world is in such a bad shape, and we are called light. We are here to do the work. We are God's hands and his feet. So you may be shy. Y'all might think I'm just the most extroverted person in the world. Am I? No, I'm not. I be in the cut. I would prefer not to be on camera. God had to push me into this place. And so sometimes we can repeat over and over again what we are or have been that is actually negating what God has said. If God says, I've called you to stand in front of people, I've called you to speak, I've called you to help lead people into freedom, that means you're going to be a leader. That means you're going to have to come in contact with people. So we have to ask ourselves, God, is me holding on to that identity so much that it's keeping me from doing my work? And so that's not a knock. That's just to say that you have to recognize how significant you are, how vital you are. There are people that I will never reach. There are people who, I always look at it like Dr. Miles Monroe, rest in peace. He's like my uncle as far as I'm concerned. He's taught me so much. I will watch his videos day in and day out. And I'm so grateful for him. But I think to myself, what if he would have never opened his mouth? What if he would have never said yes? We don't see ourselves as that significant. But I'm sure at some point he didn't even think that he was that. We have to understand how vital we are and the work that God needs us to do. The Bible says that the harvest is plenteous, but the laborers are few. And we have to come past, we have to come outside of ourselves. It's not like, some of the reasons why it was hard for me to get in front of people was because I didn't want to be judged. I didn't know if I was going to say the right thing, or my focus was on me. The focus has to be on the people. They need you. They need you. And so if I don't speak, who may not get the breakthrough that they need? Scroll up just a tad bit because I missed a few. God's giving you instruction. Right there. My problem is that I'm afraid of looking foolish. We got to get past it. We have to get past it. People can laugh and they can say something. There's probably somebody on here right now, but like, well, I don't like the way her head wrap is. I don't care. I'm beyond it. It's not about me anymore. I like it. I know it's nothing new to doubt. Hold on, you move. I know that nothing has happened to me. As Jesus is, so we are in the world. Come on. Yes. I'm ready for this new season. I know. Where are you? What's going on? I can't see. Oh, okay. No te muevas. I'm ready for this new season. I know that God gave me a spirit. He didn't. Come on now. He didn't give you that spirit. How do you know if you're meant to lead or to be a speaker or a leader? I believe that we're all called to lead in our sphere of influence. I do believe that as God positions you, he's not going to position you just to be on the bottom. We lead with, how do we lead? We lead with our character. What is a true leader? A true leader is someone who has value, someone who has integrity. You may not have the title, you may not have the position, but you lead because of your character. See, this is the thing. Me being an employer and owning salons and employing people, the people who I elevated and the people who I began to put my trust in wasn't those who were the greatest at what they did. It was the ones who I knew I could trust, the ones who were showing up on time, the ones who, you know what I'm saying, they wasn't nothing funny with the money. You lead with that, and as you lead with that, God will elevate you. God elevates you. He will exalt you when you humble yourself. So when you say, how do you know if you're called to lead? Everybody's called to lead. That's your first place of leadership. And as God elevates you, I don't know. When I say I don't know, you have to seek God. And God, as you begin to please God and you begin to spend that time, he's going to confirm whatever it is that he's called you to be in your life. And so it will continue to come. I don't know how to come because God can and does speak to people differently. Sometimes he'll directly speak to you. He'll give you an impression. Sometimes you'll get in a dream. Sometimes he'll send prophets. Sometimes you'll be watching something and the Spirit of the Lord will quicken your spirit to where you know he's speaking to you. But it comes from being a seeker. So although God has said, yeah, I've called you to speak, but even more, I've called you to seek. Because you can't be a speaker if you're not a seeker. Because what I'm going to be saying my own words. I'm going to just be telling y'all anything. Like, nah, I can't. I won't. I understand the responsibility that comes with it. Teach, but Lord, help me be on time. Come on now. Come on now. That's the level of leadership. If we can just start leading our own lives. Leading comes from being a good follower. If you truly want to be a good leader, become a great follower of your Father. When he move, you move. Just like that. When he says go, when he says stay, when he says cut that person off, you do it. And as you do it, he says, oh, I can trust this one. Okay, and as I can trust this one, I can elevate this one. And he'll continue to unveil and unfold all that he has already predestined from you from Jump Street. How do you push through and be consistent when you are dealing with grief? I think that you have to give yourself grace and give yourself time. And I can only speak from my own experience. But when my father had passed, who I was very close to, I had to allow myself to process that. And I'm grateful that I actually had that space to actually process it. But sometimes we can force ourselves into seasons that we're not necessarily called to be in. My brother is a videographer and a photographer. He's amazing at what he does. And during the pandemic, he came and stayed with me for like 2-3 months. Now, mind you, what I do is it's heavily into videography and photography. Do you know my brother stayed in my house for 2 or 3 months with his camera, and we didn't do not one thing, and I felt so bad, but I felt bad because I'm a naturally driven and motivated person, and I didn't understand, okay, why can't I work? Like, I felt lazy, but it just wasn't the time or the season, and sometimes we put too much on ourselves, and we have to know the season that we're in. It's not always go, go, go. I thought it was because that's always been my life. I've been an entrepreneur. I've been doing hair since I was 15, making money. I opened my first salon when I was 25. So I've been grinding, going hard. So when everything just stopped and it ceased, I was like, what is wrong? Like, why is everything like not happening? I'm not inspired. I'm not motivated. I can't move. And some of it I felt like, okay, my father just passed. I have this grief that I'm dealing with, but I didn't also understand that God was transitioning me. When you're driving a car and you're about to make a right-hand turn, how much do you have to slow down before you turn? Significantly. Significantly. Why? Because if you make a wide turn, listen, you may tip over. Like, you have to be cautious. And so when God is shifting you, when he's transitioning, sometimes everything will just shut off. And it's just like, what is going on? You just have to trust that whatever that shift is, it's because it's necessary, because we don't always know that what God has shown us in the beginning of our life is not going to be what it's going to be in the end. He's revealing things to us, things that we don't even know about ourselves, things that we don't even know about what's in our future. So we just have to trust that, okay, everything is shutting off, it's slowing down. God, give me revelation of this season, because this is scary. And I sat for like 2.5, 3 years I was trying to figure it out. I was trying to make things happen. I just kept on spending money, doing things here, and everything just kept shutting down. I'm like, God, what is going on? And it's God who gives you the motivation. It's God who gives you the creativity, and everything was shut off. And so when I look at that part of my life, I just realize that sometimes we can just be so used to the old rhythm, the old cycle, that we just try to make things happen. And God is like, yeah, I need you to slow down, because I have something else for you, and I need you to hear me in a different way. What do you think it means when your life feels like a mystery, if that makes sense? I think that you got to give me, we might have to do a whole session, girl. I don't know what you mean by a mystery. Yeah, you can scroll up just a little bit. So I'll take a few more questions, because I got about a couple more minutes. What's up, Don? What's up, Ariana? Thank you, beautiful gloss. Okay, you can go back to the top. So yeah, I don't know what you mean by which your life is a mystery, but a lot of that mystery is going to be found in God. God is a mystery, but as we seek him, he'll reveal himself. So if I don't have no more questions, I'm going to be back next week. Um, we'll see what we're going to talk about, but just expect the criticism. Expect, it may be 1 or 2 soldiers that God will send that's really going to see it, that really believes it. God has sent 4 or 5 people that are in my core, that are in my inner circle, that see what's on my life. But only God can give them eyes to see. Only God. And so we have to just trust that we have everything that we need right now to do any and everything that God has already called you to do. You were looking to basketball for happiness, fulfillment, identity, and God said, nope. Okay, well, I'll look forward to seeing you in a session. May God bless and continue to use you. Thank you, Isis. What a privilege whom he shows himself to us. Amen. Thank you. Keep scrolling down. What are some ways to help? What are some ways to help with discipline? I hear the word earnestness. Discipline is discipline. It's not anything that we necessarily get comfortable doing, but I think that when we recognize that the only way that our life is going to change is if we change, we have to greatly desire change to be disciplined. What makes a person be disciplined to go work out? When we get to a place where we recognize that my body needs and deserves this, and I want to be happier and healthier. And so the discipline comes because I love myself. Come on, God. Self-love is discipline. The things that we actually need discipline to do are the things that is loving ourselves. What are the things that you are going to congratulate or celebrate or thank yourself on as you get older? If you can think 20 years out, what are the things that you could be doing right now that you would be thanking yourself for later? Could it be financial discipline? Would it be health, disciplining your health? Would it be discipline with your mind? That's self-love. I love myself so much that I'm going to go to the gym 3 times a week. I'm going to discipline myself because I understand that it's actually going to benefit me in the long run. I'm going to love the way my clothes fit. I'm going to love the way I'm feeling. I'm not running upstairs breathing all hard. You see what I'm saying? So we develop discipline because we love ourselves. Would I recommend waking up early in the morning to spend time? Would I? Absolutely. I mean, everybody's life is different, but, many times most people don't have any other time to themselves but first thing in the morning before everybody's up. Seek ye first. And then you put him first and you put him at the forefront of your day. Just notice how your days just turn out to be better. So that's a great discipline. That's self-love. Spending time with the Lord. Late night and self-love is discipline. Yes, my finances. I never looked at it like that, but yes, I'm back. All right, y'all. I love you all. I seen somebody's name was lip gloss. I'm like, where my lip gloss? My lips is dry. All right, y'all. I'll see you next week. I'll see what the topic is. If y'all have any questions, you can definitely send me a question in the DM that you want me to tackle for next week. That would be great. Otherwise, I'm going to go with, not otherwise. I'm going to go with the leading of the Lord first. But if you have some questions, that would be great. Otherwise, I will see y'all next week. Have a great night. Take care.